Right now, as you're watching this video, there's probably someone earning £60,000 a year who's genuinely worried about their gas bill, someone else earning £40,000 who's putting off going to the dentist because they can't afford the £300 treatment, and a couple earning £80,000 between them who've just had an argument about whether they can afford a family holiday this year. Sound familiar? If you've ever looked at your salary and wondered why it doesn't seem to buy what it used to, if you've ever felt like you're earning good money but still living paycheck to paycheck, if you've ever questioned whether you're just terrible with finances or whether something bigger is going on, this video is for you. Because today, we're going to break down exactly what it costs to live a genuinely comfortable life in modern Britain. Not wealthy, not flashy, just comfortable. And the numbers are going to shock you. A roof over your head, central heating that you don't panic about switching on, a weekly shop at Sainsbury's without scanning every price, maybe a curry on Friday night without checking your bank balance first. That's not asking for much, is it? But here's the uncomfortable reality facing millions of Brits today. What we used to call a normal life, not luxury, not extravagance, just basic comfort, now costs more than most people earn. When your parents bought their first house, when they could afford a family holiday to Spain every year, when one salary could support a household, the definition of comfortable was very different. Today, that same comfortable life feels like a distant dream for an entire generation. So what does it actually cost to live comfortably in Britain today? Not to be wealthy, not to show off, not to live in a mansion, just to feel secure, to say yes to life occasionally, to stop constantly worrying about money. The answer might shock you, and it explains why even people earning what sounds like good money feel like they're barely keeping their heads above water. In this video, we're diving deep into the real cost of comfortable living in modern Britain. We'll break down exactly what it takes to afford a decent life in different parts of the country, why even £70,000 earners are struggling, and what's really driving this cost of living crisis that's left so many feeling financially trapped. This isn't about doom and gloom. This is about understanding the reality so you can make informed decisions about your career, your location, your lifestyle, and your financial future. Whether you're a graduate wondering if you'll ever afford your own place, a family trying to make ends meet, or someone approaching retirement worried about having enough, you'll get a clear picture of what financial comfort actually looks like in 2025. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why so many people feel financially squeezed despite earning what previous generations would have considered excellent salaries. And more importantly, you'll have the knowledge to plan your own path to financial comfort. So if you've ever wondered why money feels tighter than it should, why a good salary doesn't seem to buy what it used to, or what it really takes to feel financially secure in modern Britain, let's dive in. The truth about comfortable living starts now. The basic survival threshold, what £28,000 actually buys you. Let's start with the bottom line. According to research from Loughborough University, the absolute minimum for a comfortable life as a single person in Britain is £28,000 a year. But before you think that sounds reasonable, let me tell you exactly what that buys you. We're talking about a life with no car, no pets, no gym membership, no Netflix and Spotify and Amazon Prime subscriptions stacking up, and definitely no living anywhere near London. Your weekly entertainment budget, £2.67 for the pub, that's barely enough for half a pint in most places. Your monthly restaurant treat, one Pizza Hut meal, your grocery shopping, we're talking Tesco stir-fry sauce, own brand everything, and checking the reduced section like it's a treasure hunt. This is what researchers call comfortable. I call it survival with central heating. Think about your current lifestyle for a moment. Do you have a car? That's already blown the budget. Do you grab a coffee on your way to work? That's probably your entire daily discretionary spending. Do you ever order a takeaway when you can't be bothered to cook? You've just spent your weekly entertainment budget. This is why so many people feel like they're failing financially even when they're earning what sounds like decent money. Long baseline for comfortable has been set so low that it bears no resemblance to what most people would actually consider a comfortable life. Let me give you a real example of what this budget looks like in practice. You're living in a flat share in Birmingham because you can't afford your own place. You take the bus everywhere because running a car would cost more than your rent. You buy your clothes from Primark and consider it a luxury when you can afford something from ASOS. Your social life revolves around meeting friends for a coffee, if you've been careful with your spending that week, or going for walks in the park. Date nights are picnics with meal deal sandwiches. Holidays are staying with relatives or maybe a weekend in a Premier Inn if you've saved up for months. Now, there's nothing wrong with living simply, but let's not pretend this is comfortable. This is surviving in one of the world's most expensive countries while trying to maintain some dignity. The research assumes you're spending £167 a week on rent and bills. In reality, try finding anywhere decent for that money outside of the most deprived areas. Even in cheaper northern cities, you're looking at a room in a shared house. Your food budget is £63 a week. That sounds reasonable until you factor in inflation. Have you been grocery shopping lately? A weekly shop that would have cost £40 3 years ago now costs £65. And that's shopping smart, buying own brand, avoiding anything that isn't absolutely essential. The clothing budget is £14 a week. £14. That doesn't even cover a decent pair of work shoes that will last more than 6 months. Forget about buying quality clothes that last. You're in the fast fashion cycle, whether you want to be or not. Here's what really gets me. The research assumes £35 a week for social and cultural participation. Long includes everything: going out, entertainment, hobbies, gifts for friends and family, everything that makes life worth living. £35 a week. That's one night out, or a couple of cinema tickets, or a birthday present for your mum. Choose one, because that's your lot for the entire week. And this is the standard that researchers have decided represents a comfortable life in Britain. No wonder entire generations feel like they're falling behind. No wonder people earning £30,000 or £35,000 still feel like they're constantly struggling. The reality is that £28,000 doesn't buy you comfort. It buys you basic existence with a few small pleasures thrown in. It's the financial equivalent of treading water. You're not drowning, but you're certainly not swimming towards anything better. So when we talk about what it costs to live comfortably in Britain, we need to be honest about what we mean by comfortable. Because if this is comfort, then we've seriously lowered our expectations about what constitutes a decent life. The question isn't whether £28,000 technically keeps you alive and housed. The question is whether that's really the standard we want to accept for what it means to live well in one of the world's wealthiest countries. The family reality check, when basic becomes impossible. Now let's talk about what happens when you add other people to the equation. Because if £28,000 feels tight for one person, the numbers for families will make your head spin. A single parent needs £57,000 a year to provide that same comfortable standard for themselves and one child. Let me repeat that. £57,000. That's more than double what a single person needs. And we're still talking about that bargain basement version of comfort we just discussed. A couple with 2 children? They need £69,400 between them. Nearly 70 grand just to afford the basic version of a decent life. And most of that money vanishes before you even think about luxuries. It goes straight into rent, bills, and the eye-watering cost of childcare. Here's where it gets really depressing. The average household income in Britain is around £32,000. So most families with children are living on less than half of what researchers say they need for basic comfort. No wonder parents are working longer hours, taking on second jobs, and still feeling like they can't provide the life they want for their kids. Let me break down where that £69,400 actually goes for a family of 4. Housing eats up roughly £1,200 a month, and that's for somewhere decent but not fancy. 3-bedroom house in a nice area, good schools nearby. You're looking at more like £1,500 to £2,000 a month depending on where you live. That's because once you factor in taxes, national insurance, pension contributions, and student loan repayments, that £70,000 household income becomes about £4,500 a month take-home. Sounds like a lot. Take away the mortgage, £1,500. Childcare, £1,500. Bills and council tax, £400. And you're left with £1,100 for everything else. Food, petrol, car insurance, clothing, kids' activities, saving for emergencies, trying to put something aside for retirement. No wonder couples argue about money. No wonder parents feel guilty about every purchase. No wonder families are one broken boiler or car repair away from financial stress. This is why you see teachers, nurses, police officers, and other professionals struggling financially despite having what previous generations would have considered secure, well-paid jobs. The cost of providing a decent life for a family has simply outpaced wages for most people. The psychological impact of this cannot be overstated. When you're constantly having to make choices between competing necessities, when you're always calculating whether you can afford something, when you're putting off dental work or skipping social events because money's tight, that's not comfortable living. That's financial anxiety masquerading as middle-class life, and this is for families earning more than 80% of the population. Imagine what it's like for the millions of families trying to make do on £35,000 or £40,000 household income. The truth is, for most families in Britain today, true financial comfort, the ability to provide a good life without constant worry about money, requires a household income that puts you in the top 20% of earners. That's not how a healthy society is supposed to work. The London premium, when expensive becomes impossible, everything we've discussed so far. Add another £19,000 if you want to live in London. That comfortable single-person salary jumps from £28,000 to £47,000 just to maintain the same standard of living. And that's still without a car, still without proper holidays, still shopping at Tesco and limiting yourself to half a pint a week. Let me put that in perspective. £47,000 is more than the median salary for teachers, nurses, police officers, and most graduate jobs. Yet according to research, that's the bare minimum you need to live comfortably in the capital. The driving force behind this London premium, housing. The minimum rent for a single person in London is £340 a week. That's £1,470 a month, or £17,640 a year, just for somewhere to sleep. And we're not talking about a stylish flat in Shoreditch, or a period conversion in Clapham. We're talking about a room in a shared house, probably in zone 3 or 4, probably with paper-thin walls and a bathroom you share with 3 strangers. Want your own place? A one-bedroom flat anywhere that doesn't require a hazmat suit starts at about £2,000 a month. That's £24,000 a year, which means you need to earn at least £72,000 just for housing to take up a reasonable percentage of your income. But it's not just housing. Everything costs more in London. A pint that costs £4.50 in Manchester costs £7 in central London. A gym membership that's £25 a month elsewhere is £80 a month in London. A coffee that's £2.50 in most places is £4.50 near any London office. Transport alone will cost you £2,800 a year for a Zone 1-4 travel card. That's nearly £55 a week just to get to work. Compare that to most other cities where you can drive, park, and run a small car for less money. Here's what really frustrates Londoners. You earn more, but you're poorer. A graduate job in London might pay £35,000 compared to £28,000 in Birmingham. Sounds better, right? Wrong. After accounting for the cost of living, you're actually worse off in London. You're paying £19,000 more to live there, but only earning £7,000 more. This is why you see highly qualified professionals living in house shares well into their 30s. It's why couples delay having children because they can't afford anywhere big enough. It's why people spend 2 hours a day commuting because they've been priced out to zones where rent is almost affordable. The psychological toll of London living is enormous. You're surrounded by wealth you can't access, paying premium prices for basic services, and constantly calculating whether you can afford simple pleasures. A spontaneous dinner out becomes a financial decision. Drinks after work require checking your bank balance first. And here's the cruel irony. London is where many of the best career opportunities are. If you want to progress in finance, tech, media, law, or dozens of other industries, you often need London experience. But the cost of living there means you're essentially paying for the privilege of advancing your career. Many young professionals find themselves trapped in what I call the London poverty paradox. They earn more than their friends who stayed in their hometown, but they live in worse accommodation, save less money, and have a lower quality of life. They're asset-rich on paper, but cash-poor in reality. The rental market is particularly brutal. You're competing with dozens of other applicants for every decent property. Landlords demand 6 months' rent up front, guarantors earning 2.5 times the annual rent, and references dating back to your primary school teacher. The power imbalance is so extreme that tenants accept conditions they'd never tolerate elsewhere. Want to buy property in London? The average house price is over £500,000. Even a tiny one-bedroom flat starts at around £400,000. With current mortgage rules, you need a household income of at least £80,000 to even qualify for a mortgage on the cheapest properties. And that's assuming you've somehow managed to save a £40,000 deposit while paying £20,000 plus a year in rent. This is why London has become a city of extremes. You're either wealthy enough to live comfortably, or you're highly qualified professionals living like students well into middle age. There's very little middle ground left. The saddest part, many people convince themselves this is normal. They accept that living in a house share, having no savings, and spending 60% of their income on rent is just part of the London experience. They tell themselves it's temporary, that it'll get better when they get promoted or find a better job. But for many, it never does get better. The goalposts keep moving. Salaries rise slowly while rents rise quickly. What feels like progress, a pay rise, a slightly better flat, gets swallowed up by the relentless increase in living costs. The truth about London is that it's only truly comfortable if you're earning well into six figures, have family money to help with deposits, or bought property before 2010. For everyone else, it's an expensive lesson in how far a supposedly good salary doesn't stretch, what real comfort actually looks like. So we've established that the official definition of comfortable is basically financial survival with central heating. But what does genuine comfort actually look like in 2025? Real comfort is earning £52,000 a year as a single person. That's when you can afford a car without anxiety, take 2 proper holidays a year, buy decent wine instead of whatever's on offer at Tesco, and yes, maybe even shop at Waitrose occasionally without feeling guilty. At this level, you can say yes to dinner invitations without calculating the cost. You can buy quality clothes that last rather than fast fashion that falls apart. You can fix your car when it breaks down rather than nursing it along for another 6 months. You can visit the dentist when you need to, not when you finally can't bear the pain anymore. This is what our parents would have called middle class, not rich, not flashy, just secure. But here's the kicker. £52,000 puts you in the top 25% of earners in Britain. To feel what previous generations considered normal, you now need to be a higher rate taxpayer. For families, real comfort starts at around £80,000 to £90,000 household income. That's when you can afford a 3-bedroom house in a decent area, run 2 cars, send the kids to after-school clubs without wincing at the cost, and take a proper family holiday without spending months saving up for it. But even at these income levels, many people report feeling financially stretched. Why? Because comfort isn't just about the numbers, it's about security. It's about knowing you can handle unexpected expenses without panic. It's about having choices. The happiness plateau. Why more money might stop mattering. I know what you're thinking. This sounds like something only someone with money would say. But hear me out, because the research on this is quite compelling. Multiple studies suggest that beyond about £50,000 a year, additional income tends to have diminishing returns on happiness. The jump from £30,000 to £50,000 often makes a substantial difference to quality of life. The jump from £50,000 to £80,000, typically much less transformative. Now, this isn't to say money doesn't matter, it absolutely does. And £50,000 certainly can't buy everything. But what it can buy for many people is something invaluable. A sense of security, around £50,000 for a single person, £80,000 for a family. These figures seem to represent a threshold where basic security becomes achievable. At this level, you might no longer live paycheck to paycheck. Emergency expenses become manageable rather than catastrophic. You can start making choices based more on preference than pure affordability. That psychological shift from scarcity to stability can be profound. Beyond that point, additional money often buys upgraded versions of what you already have. A nicer car, a larger home, more luxurious holidays. These upgrades are certainly pleasant, but they may not fundamentally transform your daily experience the way that initial security does. This might explain why someone earning £100,000 isn't necessarily happier than someone earning £60,000. Both have likely crossed that security threshold. Both can probably afford life's essentials: nutritious food, reliable transport, safe housing, healthcare access, and the ability to nurture relationships without constant financial stress. The real crisis, when good money isn't good enough. So here's what we've learned. To live what previous generations would have called a normal, middle-class life in modern Britain, you need to be a higher-rate taxpayer. To feel genuinely secure and comfortable, you need to be in the top quarter of earners. This explains so much about why our society feels so financially stressed. We have teachers, nurses, police officers, social workers, and other essential professionals who are struggling to afford the lifestyle their qualifications and social importance should command. We have graduates with good degrees in decent jobs who feel like failures because they can't afford to live the way their parents did at the same age. The problem isn't that people are bad with money. The problem is that the cost of a decent life has outpaced wages for everyone except the highest earners. Housing, childcare, transport, and basic services have all increased faster than salaries. This creates a vicious cycle. People work longer hours to afford the basics. They take on second jobs or side hustles. They delay having children or buying homes. They sacrifice time with family and friends to earn more money, only to find that more money still doesn't buy them the security and comfort they're seeking. Meanwhile, politicians and economists wonder why consumer spending is down, why birth rates are falling, why young people seem so pessimistic about the future. The answer is simple. Most people can't afford the life they were told their education and hard work would provide. Call to action. So there you have it. The uncomfortable truth about comfortable living in modern Britain. To feel financially secure as a single person, you need 50,000 plus a year. As a family, you need £80,000 to £90,000 between you. In London, add another £20,000 to whatever you think you need. And even then, you're not living lavishly. You're just living without constant financial anxiety. This isn't your fault. If you're earning what sounds like good money, but still feeling financially stretched, you're not imagining it. You're not bad with money. You're experiencing the reality of what it costs to live comfortably in one of the world's most expensive countries. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Maybe it's time to negotiate that salary increase you've been putting off. Maybe it's time to consider relocating to somewhere more affordable. Maybe it's time to have honest conversations about money with your partner, your family, your friends, because pretending everything's fine when it isn't helps no one. What do you think? Do these numbers match your experience? Are you surprised by how much it actually costs to live comfortably, or does it confirm what you've been feeling for years? Let me know in the comments below. And if this video opened your eyes to the reality of modern living costs, please give it a like and share it with someone who needs to see this. Because the more we talk honestly about money, the less alone we all feel in this struggle. Hit subscribe if you want more videos, breaking down the financial realities that everyone thinks about but no one wants to talk about. Because understanding the problem is the first step to solving it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.